Hey guys, welcome back to Fam Sports and Patriots. Little overreaction to last night's game. We got a little, we got the dub. That's all that matters, 17-3 over Carolina. It is a preseason game, so I don't want to get crazy, but I do want to kind of go over some of the things that stood out to me, and good and bad. So, like my mom always said, we got the bad news first. Jacoby Brissett, he wasn't great. He was supposed to step in and be that leadership role. I think he is that right now, but I don't think he's playing at his absolute best. I think going into it, we kind of thought, he already knew the offense. He knew what was going to be in place, and he's played that in that offense before. I think we expected to see a little bit more out of Jacoby Brissett. He didn't even complete a pass, nor was a pass able to be completed. It wasn't like the wide receiver dropped a pass. He did only get one drive, but hopefully going forward he gets a little bit more time, because there's going to be a situation that I'll talk about later that we probably need him to step up to veer that situation off course. We also have Okafor. Okafor is supposed to be our guy that comes in and helps fix that O-line. He only played in a drive or two, and he had a penalty. When you have a penalty on the offensive line, that's not Patriot football. We all know that. Being New England fans, is we have to play clean football, and on that O-line, it has to be completely clean, and we can't afford to have one of these backs break a run and then coming back and ending up 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It's just something that we really need to watch and be careful for. Zimenez, he lost outside contain. I mean, just the little things are what's going to add up, and like I said, we have to play clean on the O-line. If we don't play clean on the O-line, then we're not going to be successful. We have to put up the 17, the 24 points a game, 21 points a game to be able to be in these games and win these games, because our defense can't do everything. We're very much a Tampa Bay, Tony Dungy type team, where our defense is going to be that be stronger one out of the offense and defense. So we absolutely need to be clean on offense, and that just with the Okafor penalty and the outside contain loss, we need to make sure that those two things get cleaned up. Jalen Reagor, unfortunately, man, I think you lost your spot. I think you're out. You and Bailey Zappi can probably pack bags together at this point. I think we're gonna try to sneak you in as a punt returner, but Wallace looked really good, and David Wallace, not from the office, but David Wallace, I think, is going to be our punt return guy. Really successful, really good punt returns, and I think you're going to see that consistency going forward with him. And then Sean Wade dropped pick. I mean, you're on your show, you're on your tryout, and you can't be dropping that stuff. So Sean, you got to do better than that. You gotta reel that in. I think that would have been a big play for you. A lot of momentum change in that game, and unfortunately, it just I don't know what happened. It looked like when my kid couldn't trying to catch a football. It was bad. But now my standouts. This is where we get excited. Drake May played really well. I think he's going to go forward. It is definitely a crawl, walk, run for Drake May. But I want to get into that because he did play well, but Joe Milton played well too. So as you're crawl, walk, running with Drake May, Joe Milton is an all-out sprint. So what happens is Joe Milton, what do you do with him? You don't want him to jump Drake May, so do you rush Drake May into that first spot before Milton gets there? Because Milton's definitely vying for it. I get it. The competition that Milton faced, one, it's the Panthers. They're horrible. Two, it's the Panthers 2s and 3s. Also, probably Canadian football could probably throw a better lineup out there than those guys. But Joe Milton looks good. He does. He looks like that quarterback that he's definitely in it to play. He hasn't accepted that third string role yet. He wants to be on the field, and you can see that. You can see he's actively pushing May, and I think that's going to be a good thing. But unfortunately for Mayo, where he wanted to do the crawl, walk, run with May, I think you're going to have May running well before you wanted him to. And if Jacoby Brissett continues to play poorly, at what point do you make that call? Because it's going to be really hard to have Milton jump May and then have May come in, and you're going to have Milton replace Brissett, May go to, or no, you're going to have May replace Brissett, Milton go to year 2, and then Jacoby go to year 3. I don't know how to do that. It's a good problem to have. We have 2 good rookie quarterbacks, but that's exactly what they are. We have 2 good rookie quarterbacks, and I know the hype was, and I know I talked about it, is Joe Milton won't be QB1. After this week, it's not unheard of. I don't think it's going to be that crazy to think about, but definitely a good problem to have. Bailey Zappi, he's going to be on my standouts. He played well. He made some good throws, but he did not play Milton. He did not play, Brissett's there, obviously. He's going to, and May's not going anywhere. So I think, fortunately, Bailey Zappi is the odd man out on this, and him and Jalen Reagor can pack their bags, and probably, I think this was more of an audition for a different team for Bailey, and maybe we can get a 7th, 6th round pick for him, and kind of fooled you type thing, like he did with us on draft night. Another one would be Dietrich Wise. Great sack. Only one. I think he was only in for 1 series, but it's just showing how dominant that defense is going to be. Really excited. Dietrich Wise played well for that one series. Farms also played well. He was one of those guys that he was just all around. Like you constantly saw his number as you were watching the game, and he was one of those guys that was just everywhere. So Farms definitely was that guy. And then Pettis had a great pass breakup. Then he had a great stop on 3rd down, kept him deep in the territory, forcing the punt. And those are the little things that we're going to need, especially for the defense. And I think the defense have shown that they are very, very deep, and the system that they have in place is perfect for the people that we have. And I think you saw that last night with how deep that defense can actually be. There's a sheer cliff of drop-off talent for the offense, but defensively, I think it is going to be a plug-and-play type thing, and I think we'll be good there, which is good because of some of the injuries and some of the things that are kind of going on with the defense as far as, Judon, Barmore, and those other guys. David Wallace, we talked about, and I think he's going to be our punt returner. Couple great punt returns, and I think he's really consistent. I think he's been able to find that hole, find that seam in the punt return route, and I think he's going to fit that really well, especially with the new kickoff return rules and everything. I think he's going to be a great special teams guy, and I think he ended up taking Reagor's spot. Oh, and then we got to talk about Keyshawn Boot. Keyshawn Boot, definitely a standout. We talked about Thornton. Thornton had a good opportunity with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett missed him. I think that was Thornton and Boot are going to be really fighting for that last spot, I think. Hopefully, maybe there's a way we can keep both of them. I think Thornton as a deep threat is going to be really good, and I'd love to see him and Milton together. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that during any of this training camp, just the way that everything's set up. But him and Milton together, or even him and May together, could be something really special. But Boot, you can't deny what he did. He was out there and he was catching balls that probably, weren't exactly easy to catch, and then he was making the catches he needed to make. So he definitely went beyond expectations, especially if we have, as a Patriot fan, from last year, we had these huge expectations going in for this LSU guy, and he didn't live up to it. But last night, I think he showed glimpses of what he could be, and if he continues to do that and continues to get better, I think Booch will definitely be a valuable asset into that wide receiver room. Harris adds depth to our running back room. Stevenson had a really good game. He had the 1 carry for 11 yards. But that whole running back core, I'm going to put in the standouts just because they consistently moved the chains. There wasn't a bad running back in there, and it was, we could put anybody in there, and the O-line was doing enough where the running backs were gaining yards. And I think Stevenson's going to be absolutely the workhorse on this. But with Harris and Gibson on that side, I think that's going to really help Stevenson out to give him breathers where he needs to get breathers, and then passing down, Stevenson's not asked to do much. He just has to do what he does and run downhill and get those 3 to 4 yards. He's going to break a couple. I mean, Stevenson's going to be that guy, that fantasy back that you're going to want for probably, our RB2. So, all right. So Jimenez, I know that we talked about that loss of outside contain, but he was all over the quarterback all night. I mean, he was definitely the fizz out with just that one play, but he made up for it consistently over the night. He had a sack, and like you couldn't really watch that defense without him. And he's just another one of those plug and play players that we've kind of talked about on the defense. The defense is going to be very, very strong. I think that it's going to be scary good. I mean, we're talking top 3 defense in the league. I really do feel that way, and I know I'm just a Homer Patriot fan. I get that, but top 3 defense is not a far-fetched thing, if not the top defense in the league. If we can put up the 14 to 24, 28 points a game, we could make some noise, potentially winning the division, or maybe be even that team that, squeaks by Buffalo and then goes behind Miami and ends up, getting one of those wild card spots. Definitely don't write out the Patriots. It's not a season like it was last year where we're going to have to, it's doom and gloom. But I think that he's one of the positive notes. And then also, you got Christian Ellis and Giles Harris. Both of those guys played really well on the defensive side. I think our run game, like we talked about, is definitely a standout. And then Dial's one of those guys that I didn't even know if was going to make the team during training camp, but he stepped up huge in the first game, and I'm excited to see him in the next couple to see what he does, because that's going to add depth to the corner position, where we're not bad, but everybody needs depth at the corner position, just the way the NFL is run today. There's a lot of spread offenses out there, so you're going to need those corners, you're going to need those safeties. And if you got to stand out, where New England's known for that. You got Jack Jones, you got these guys that have come in at the later round picks, or a non-signed non-picked free agent, where they're coming in and they're making a difference. And I think that New England's shown that they're going to continue to do that with Dial there. So huge add to Dial. And then obviously, like we talked about, our defensive depth is definitely a standout. Like, there was no bad defensive player. There was a bad couple plays, but some of these guys were on the big stage the first time, and they're going to have that. They're going to have hiccups, but they recovered well, and defensively, they were solid. They are playing a really bad Panther team, and the Panthers had like 40 starters out or something like that, something crazy, where we didn't get the best Panther team. Obviously, it's preseason. We're not going to, but just watching that defense play and watching it kind of control everything, they couldn't really do anything with that defense, and so Patriot defense definitely a standout, and I think that's going to be a consistent thing all season. So that's my overreaction for the first week of preseason. Please, if you have any comments, leave them down below. Like and subscribe for more content. If you want to be notified, just hit that little bell over there, and you'll get to know whenever we put it out.